Jansing from iWrapIt, Business Identity and Design, and I'm here to show you how to wrap an IC2 machine that came just from the factory. Here, this one has no graphics on it, and we need to do some prep work on it to get started, but I'll show you step by step on what to do, and we will get this thing transformed. Okay, we're going to carefully remove the faceplate by taking out the 6 Phillips head screws that are just hand tightened, and then carefully remove all of the accessory tools. We want to be very careful with the pressure gauge and the control panel, the electronics, and careful not to do any damage to any of the parts. Alright everyone, the materials that we need that you probably already have at home are 70% isopropyl alcohol, masking tape of any size, measuring tape, rags or paper towels, a trash container for the backing paper. We're also going to have many tools that you want to make sure that you have before you start, and they are as follows. The tools that we're going to need today are an extension cord, an electric heat gun, 30-degree utility knife, a scalpel knife, a squeegee, and a Phillips head screwdriver. Once all our tools and supplies are in place, we're all set to get wrapping. Alright, the first thing that we need to do is wipe down everything with our isopropyl alcohol, and I just so happen to have some hidden right here inside with my spare rag, so I'm going to wipe down everything. I'm just going to wet up our rag here, and you just want to wipe every square inch of the machine. This is going to clean off all the factory dust, any imperfections, anything like that. Just really want to get it clean. You can't use too much really, because the alcohol is just going to evaporate. And once you get it all wiped down, then you can get all the graphics. We also want to make sure that we get our control panel here good and clean. Really want to give this a good wipe down, and then we will be all ready for the decal. Alright, the first print that we're going to put on is the front faceplate here. It looks like this, and it's going right here on the top. And I'll show you how to apply this. You're going to get your masking tape here, just a little bit, maybe this much. And you're going to align these right up like that, and oops, it moved a little bit. Doesn't hurt to grab your tape measure here. Make sure that we're the same on both sides. Looks like an inch, a little bit over. That's probably good right there. And you just want to go right to the end there in the back. Like that, just to hold that. Okay, and then what you can do is you can peel the back, or peel the vinyl I should say, a little bit past there. And you're going to want to grab your click blade, cut the backing paper like so. Be very careful not to cut the vinyl. And then this is just trash, you can just throw that down. And you want to grab your squeegee, grab that, and just push down here with the squeegee flat on the soft side here. Just work it all the way down, like so. Then after that's stuck to that there, you can remove the tape. You don't need it, you can crumple it up, throw it away. Flip this up, remove the rest of the backing paper, throw that away, and then you can apply the rest of the decal. Just bring this over here, and you want to hold this up off of what you're applying it to until the squeegee touches it to the surface, like so. Now in the back, since we what we call butt seam, we can just tuck that right in there where our manufacturer has those two panels lining up. And on this side, we can just use our flat, or I should say our soft side of the squeegee, and just roll that over there on that side. And there, that's our first panel there. We're going to take our clip blade and we're going to carefully cut with the sharp side of our blade, just kind of saw this hole out of that there. And then if you feel with your fingers, you'll feel another one here. Actually, looks like I need to. Just kind of saw that out. Make sure you push down with your fingers on the edges. Careful not to cut yourself. Grab that, push that back down. Alright, now that those panels are cut, we can grab our vertical panel. Here it's our vertical carbon. And this piece here is pretty simple to put on. You can almost just peel the entire thing. It's so easy to put on. And you're going to line it up on the outside corner, and you want to make sure that you've got enough vinyl on the top and bottom, but you just want to touch it with your two fingers. And then you want to take your squeegee and you're going to start in the center this time, and you're going to push from the center all the way down, and you see how that air kind of it's working all the way down, and the same you want to go opposite. And you'll stop right there, and now let's adjust this a little bit. So you can grab where you touch this down, you can pop that up. And holding this down, you can almost pull it. Vinyl is so stretchy, you can just stretch that to reach all the way to the end. And you're going to just push down with your fingers. And you can almost just rub it. And the same with the bottom here. We're going to use the squeegee to hold that. And we're just going to tug on that just a little bit and get that piece all the way put down. And it doesn't have to reach the very end because we've got other panels that cover that up. Alright, so you're going to do that. And just push that down with your hands for right now. And then you're going to want to grab that clip blade, and you're going to want to just kind of saw into where that meets, I should say, and then saw right there, and then you can work those underneath that edge. Alright, I have my heat gun here. I'm going to put this on a low setting, and I just want to, what heat does to vinyl is it shrinks it back, and so I just want to see how it's shrinking that back. I want to use my thumb and I want to actually push it down and heat it down. When it wants to come up, you just push it back down, and the heat is actually setting this more into the metal so it won't move while we're installing the rest of this. And we're just going to want to cover everything just to make sure nothing's going to come up. You can see right here, we're going to bring this up there. Alright, and once that's done, then we can do the other side. Alright, I'm going to peel my other side here, get this side stuck. The same thing, you just want to line up pretty much every inch. Just tack it with your fingers. You don't even have to really use a squeegee with these. You can just rub them. The laminate, the gloss laminate is really repositionable with your hand. Alright, and you just want enough to go around that edge. And now here, on this, inside this edge, where we made our cut, actually might be better if what we're going to need to do is you need to start at the top, and you need to kind of shave that edge off just enough to where your fingers can grab that. And then you want it with the sharp side, you want to work it down, and it's just a real simple motion. And see how it just shaves that right to that edge. Alright. And then we're going to use our heat gun again just to get everything sealed down until we're ready to post-heat the entire project. We don't have to worry about this here because our plate's going to cover that. And next we can grab our horizontal carbon, which is an even smaller piece. And same thing, we're just going to seam this up here, kind of align it visually maybe if it helps, you know. You definitely just want to make sure that you're going over the top there. And you can just rub that whole thing in there. Alright, and now here, what we've got is about a half inch. So we want to take our clip blade and we're going to shave it to where it stops. And on this side, we're going to shave it till it stops. And same thing. Just stick that in there and rub our blade all the way down to where it cuts that real nice. Alright. And we're ready to put on some of the bigger pieces. On the top of the machine, if you remember, there were those 6 screws. the 6 screw holes need to be cut out, and I recommend using a disposable scalpel knife because they are, as far as I'm concerned, one of the sharpest and pointy knives you can ever get. So you feel around with your finger, and you can actually see the hole, and the same thing, you're just going to want to slice that around that hole. And it might be a little bit difficult just because it is so tiny, and you might be going through other layers there. Okay, that's cut out so that screw can go there, and we'll just do that for the 6 screw holes. Okay, that one's cut. Push down real tight so you can feel or see the hole. Slice that hole out. Pick that vinyl out. I believe it was just in the corners. Alright, that one's out. That one's out. One more to go. Okay, and oops. Okay. And that one's out. All right. Carefully slide that back. All right, I'm going to grab my control panel here, and this is the correct side orientation, and I'll just use my rag and set that on top so that way I don't scratch it. And I got that, and our panel here looks exactly like this, and it fits the faceplate perfectly. All the corners match up dead on, the top and the bottom, and then when you get to the or I should say the top and the sides, when you get to the bottom, it actually rolls under. So the way we're going to do this is we're just going to line that up, and we'll grab our little bit of tape again. Make sure that we're aligned. Wrap that under there so it's not going to go anywhere. You can actually just grab my clip blade. So now that this is kind of held in place with that tape, you want to remember that it's still sticky on the vinyl. So you just kind of let it roll down right on the edge. And as long as you don't touch the vinyl down to the surface, you can always pry it back up. It's pressure sensitive, so it doesn't really stick until you push it down. So we're going to grab our squeegee then, and I probably, while holding that, just so you have tension and everything, just run that print all the way down. Like so. Okay, so now that's not going anywhere on that side. You can undo your tape. And unmask the rest of it. And just roll that print all the way back. Start in the center and then work to the corners. It's called the triangle method. See, I'm making a triangle bigger and smaller until everything's completely covered. Now, when you get to this end, we're going to wrap this under our edge. So we're going to use our heat gun again for this. So we've got this completely stuck. Throw that down there. And then you can just roll your fingers to have that vinyl stick to the back end of that control panel. All right, it's looking real good. So heat gun down. And then we've got our finished control panel with the vinyl stuck, and you see all the holes and crevices that we need to cut out and everything. We can do that now. Right now we're ready to put on the sides of our machine, and we're going to start here with the right side. And it doesn't have any writing on it, but it is just the same as the other side. So the way this was actually built is you can go right up to the top. Just follow that edge until you're happy with it. You can almost eyeball it. Once that top edge it matches, you can grab some of your masking tape. It moved, but that's okay. And let's just stick some right there just to hold it. Because I want to show something down here at the bottom of this print. You get in here real close, there's a dark line right here. And that line should actually line up with the bottom of our machine. And it matches perfectly. All right, so I'm just gonna align our edge here. See how it wants to spin around, but just want to make our edge here vertical. Again, make sure that that line is right there on that edge of the machine. You could stick some tape there just to hold it. And let's check this side over here just to make sure. See, we've actually got quite a bit of extra, so you probably should just align the front, this front edge here. Don't worry about the back, and we'll wrap around the back. So now that that's aligned, take one more piece of tape. If that's matching up good, stick our tape there down at the top, or at the top. All right. Now we'll come down here and peel this. We're going to cut some of that backing paper off. match this up with our hands. We can stick that down there, tack it so it doesn't move. That line is perfect on the machine. I'm going to take my squeegee and stick this part down so it doesn't want to move. Alright. And then we can undo our tape here.
Can you pause
Now,
it?
I did use a little bit of heat there at the bottom to make that a little more aggressive to hold it while we pull this up. So what we're going to do now is just peel back some of that backing paper, and here with this you don't have to do all of it at once. You just do a little bit. Make that straight still. We're just going to start in the center, work from the outside all the way up. Now don't worry too much about this side here because it's got a retainer that we need to cut out. We just want to make sure that we get the flat side set. And then once you get to the top of that, to your backing paper, you just peel a little bit more off of it. Find where that is. And just continue working that air out of your graphic. If you feel anything, I believe there was a hole right here. Don't worry about that yet. We'll just cut that out later. Just work that squeegee all the way up on that flat sides. Alright. And check and make sure that there's no bubbles or any wrinkles or anything like that. Looks like we're ready to go. So now we've got this retainer here. And the way we want to handle that is we want to take our click blade and we want to cut right along the edge of that. And I would start here in this corner and follow that retainer all the way up. Blade. And that's going to be a perfectly straight cut because that followed, and then you just work that up, back up what you cut with your squeegee, and see that tucks that in real nice and tight. And then you'll do the same thing over here on this horizontal border. Edge there. Worry about that. All right. I'm going to turn this a little bit here so I can see this and cut this better. I'm working that all the way down with my blade. All the way down, and we'll start in the center, and we're just going to push all that in there up to that retainer. Work that in nice and tight. Now this corner here looks like we might just have to slice that right there and kind of slice that right there. And then we can use our sharp side of our squeegee and just tuck that in. Real nice. Alright, looking good. Alright, now we've got our edge pieces here. And we want to make sure that they don't do a lot of moving, because now that we cut those, they are very thin and there's not really a lot of surface area to hold the things. So we want to be very careful. And if you get a wrinkle, you can actually work that out with your fingernail. Like that. All right. And you probably need to use some heat again on these corners and just heat these corners down. And they don't have to be perfect, because the front panel of the machine actually covers these. But this just helps to seal everything down. And you can tell that that heat is really making that vinyl stick. See how it really just made that top edge seal down nice and tight? Alright. So then you can just run a quick brush of heat across the whole thing. Just to make sure it's not going to go anywhere, but you shouldn't have any problems. For the next panel, we're going to use the left side here, and I'm going to do a different technique on this one. I laid this down on the ground, and you can actually see that mark here better if you get closer in there on that print. Right there. That's what that looks like. It's just a black line. And make sure we're covered enough on all of our edges, and that's pretty much perfect. That's why I said, you know, using gravity as your friend is maybe better. Let me take a couple pieces of tape here, and let's go with doing the flat side first. Just enough to hold it. We'll peel that back. Grab a clip blade. Alright. And we're going to slide this over with our squeegee. Make sure you don't let the print touch until you're ready for the squeegee, basically. See, that's going to give us much better hold on it. And on this side with the retainer, don't worry about that because we need to cut that. So as long as we're just kind of rolling over there in the back, that's all we want. And then once that's touched with the vinyl at the top, you can peel the tape. And we're gonna roll this up. Just undo just a little bit. Alright. Move this all the way up. Alright, we're going to get every bit of that flat side covered. Right, and some air got away there. If you do ever get a bubble in this material, you can just rub it real tight with your finger and it should rub that bubble out. Alright, so now that's the edge that we curled. We're going to take our knife, and remember this is where we're working real tight into that retainer, so we want to push that vinyl in as far as it'll go with that felt side, and you just want to get right on that edge. I think that's where it stopped, and push that down. And I'll go this way. Alright, push that vinyl in there on that side. Make sure, again, with these thin pieces that you don't really move them around because they don't have a lot of surface area up again. And then we'll come up here to this corner cut. There to that edge. And we'll come here to the back edge. Alright. Just want to be real careful. We don't do anything goofy with this top edge. Alright. And what we want to do here at the bottom is use our blade and cut right there along this leg. And don't cut this yet, but we want to cut right to the end of where the machine is. And then we're going to use our hands And we're going to take all that material at once and we're going to wrap it all the way to the bottom of the machine. And that's going to hold that panel down even more. All right. And now we're going to get our heat gun. Throw it on low at first because we want to make sure that this doesn't really move. I'm real concerned about this corner here more than anything, just because I need that to wrap around this front edge. At this point, since the machine's already, since it's wrapped, we can throw that up vertical so I can get a better look at what's going on here. Once that vinyl heats up to where it kind of shrinks back and gets real stretchy, that's when you can heat it down with your hand. Wrap it around things. Here at this corner, where there's show you where there's a little bit of a, that's definitely going to be a wrinkle. So the way you get rid of that is you take your knife from the back end and you just peel that or cut that and stick both sides opposite each other, and that's how you wrap those corners. Throw the heat back on just to get all the other edges. We'll go low on this. It looks like it's we've got this top edge here. I don't want to do anything with the back yet until we do the until I put that panel on there. So I'm just going to leave that vinyl kind of hanging out there. But it's all sealed and everything. Looks great on all these sides. All right, next we have our front piece here, and we're just going to set this on the front face. And there's a little bit extra of material on this one. It's all the black. So what we want to do is you match up this outer border with the whole entire machine is basically what you're aiming for. So that's all just bleed basically. You want to make sure that you're even. So I'm good with that. Just going to set that there. And again, we're going to get our tape. Instead of doing two little ones, you can just do a big one on this just to make sure that it doesn't move. I believe it just moved. Didn't do myself very much, did I? Start here at the top. And then grab our clip blade. Just make sure you work that down with the squeegee, starting from the center. Alright, don't worry about the edges yet, because we'll use the heat gun to warp those around. So carefully take this tape off, because I've noticed that it likes to pull decal up. Alright. I'm just going to hold that there tight and make sure that I'm still straight. Alright, now everything's good on the front there. So now we're going to grab our heat gun and we'll start on a low setting and work our way up. And you'll see that the heat kind of makes some bubbles appear on these edges. Just keep that down with the squeegee, and that's really setting into that metal, and that's actually sealing over the other piece of vinyl that was there from our side piece. Now that we've got our face and everything and the edges are kind of sealed, you can work on the top lips. We want to heat those up real hot so we can just use our hand and roll that over. That heat is going to get that super stretchy and conformable. keeping that edge up all the way around. And you can just kind of go over the face of it real quick with that hot air before you do the whole thing. There's the top piece. All right, one of the last panels that we have is the back face here, and there were a few hex head screws that I had to remove. I went ahead and removed those, and here, just untighten those by hand. All right, and our print fits that back panel exactly. So we just want to make sure that we're covered, because after we apply it to the metal, we're going to take that off and trim it. Okay. Get some masking tape. Stick so we don't move. Maybe let's start on this solid side, because this has a hole, or that little indent. It just has more to hold on this back edge. Quick blade, cut that backing paper out. Just work that down. And we haven't moved our back plate off of the machine, so it's not going anywhere, but we wanted those screws out so that way the vinyl, it doesn't have to wrap around those screws. Just line that again. Start in the middle there. Once you do get the vinyl on that panel, I recommend pulling it off of the machine, so that way you're not interfering with the decals that we've already stuck. And just kind of hold it with one hand. Use your other hand. Just make sure all those bubbles are out. All right. Once that's done, then you can take your clip blade. We're going to cut this out. So we'll start here. And then you do the horizontal blast. You can actually wrap it all the way down. I'll flip this around so you can actually wrap that all the way down and just have that hold, and that will give it more. It's never coming up if it's held down there. All right, so these are all the edges. Now what we're going to do is shave the edges, and we're going to use our scalpel for that. So let's start this up here, and we're going to do one edge at a time. Make sure we got our sharp edge. Sometimes it helps if you start a little bit farther down in the decal, so that way you have something to grab. And just slide that all the way down so it's cut flush, and then we can do this side. I'm not even trying to measure or anything like that. I'm just using the real sharp blade. All right, this one's a little bit tight, but these scalpel knives will still shave it. One more side to do. There's hardly anything on this side. I think we're good there. Can't really feel any of the vinyl peeling up or anything like that. So now we can put this back up on the machine. Maybe not yet, but what we'll do is we will take all these holes and instead of cutting them all the way through, we're just going to make an X on each one. That's all of them. Oh, I know what I wanted to do. Set that aside. And before we put this back plate on, I want to use the heat gun and get these edges sealed down, because I didn't do that before. You want to be real careful not to overheat the vinyl, because it'll shrink back too much. I think that's good. Now we can apply our back plate. So we don't have holes this time, but we do have those X marks, and that will be just enough to be able to throw these screws in. So we want to align one just to get something going. I'll try a different. Got my cordless drill here. You want to be real careful once you get down to the edge of the vinyl that you don't wrinkle the vinyl. So you want to make sure that you're tight so it doesn't go anywhere. But if you go too tight, it'll put a spin around the vinyl, and you don't want that. I'm stopping. Right, here's the control panel for the unit, and we're going to take our scalpel knife, and we're just going to go along the edges and make X's in all of those real quick. Don't worry about any of the big parts yet. We'll use our bigger knife for those. All right, now we're going to grab our clip blade. These are a little bit different. Just rub with your finger. You can see there's a little hole there, and we're just gonna stick the blade in there on the sharp side and just run it along the edge there. I'm just going to shave that circle all the way out, like so. And we'll come along here. I think we've got another big circle here. It's almost the less pressure you do when you're cutting, the better. It just slices. It's so sharp. And it just falls right out. Okay, then there's another little circle here underneath this one. Okay, I'm going to go back to the scalpel for this small knife, or small inlet here. Okay, rub our finger here so we can see it. It's not very big, but just want to go right on the very edge with the scalpel. And you can do your horizontals like that. And it might help to hold this up to almost shave that until that's out completely. All right. So there, I believe we've got everything cut out on our control panel like that, and we're all ready to apply it to the unit. So we've got a couple of the starter screws here, and we want to be very careful not to scratch